of goodies, we're jumping right back in to where Sue Ellen left off, telling us that we can find all of the dietary supplements that we need right in healthy eating. Let's jump right in.
Products, even like braids that, women of color wear, different types of things that we go through in our programming. So it's not just nutrition. We focus on nutrition as a foundation, but it's a really comprehensive type of education that we give from puberty all the way down to perimenopause, menopause, and also into pregnancy, our motherhood stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hear a common theme throughout is all of these vitamins are found in healthy eating. Like there are so many supplements, and supplements have become a multi-billion-dollar industry now because everybody's trying to match the correct nutrient to the
Right.
stage, and we could find all of this in a healthy diet.
Yes, you are certainly right. If you have the base of a healthy diet, you will find all the nutrients that you need. I think it's very important that as a yearly visit, you go to your dietitians. They could kind of give you a checkup to see what you're doing, right? Because we don't just look at what you're eating. We look at laboratory values. We look at anthropometrics, other data to connect with what you're feeling, right? Symptoms of not sleeping enough, not having enough energy, weight loss or weight gain, or blood sugar related or blood pressure issues. We look at the full picture. And so even if you think that you're eating a balanced meal and you're feeling well, it's still good to get a checkup, right? And if you're struggling with chronic conditions or any type of hormonal imbalance, a woman's health dietitian can definitely help you put you on the right track, especially if you have fibroids or PCOS, now called PMOS, right? So it's definitely important to consider a proper nutrition and overall health regimen.
Yeah, and as I just got braids, right? We that's a whole nother podcast about braids, and I know what they say about braids. I got them anyway. But many people don't realize nutrition counseling may actually be, or a visit with a registered dietitian may actually be covered by your insurance.
Right.
So, what should folks know about that and getting access, even if they're worried about cost?
So I would say don't be too alarmed about seeing a registered dietitian. We're not going to judge you based on what you're eating. We're here to help you. That's number one. You can definitely see a registered dietitian depending on who they work for or with their private practice. You can see them with almost little out of pocket costs. If you have insurance, that's the best thing to do is to use your insurance. If you don't have insurance, there are options for private pay for most dietitians, and there are payment plans, which I offer for my patients as well. So you have multiple ways to get help. There are also health centers in your city that most health centers have dietitians working at these health centers that are very lower cost for the community and people can see some individuals at low cost. For example, if you're pregnant, you can go to WIC or see other governmental or community-based services. So there's always a way to find a dietitian, but I would say don't wait until you have a problem because we're just not there to help, modify diet and lifestyle through our medical nutrition therapy services. We also can prevent, right? So we work on the preventive side. So a lot
Right.
are they are reactive instead of proactive, right? And I like to tell people you want to get a checkup, right? Because you want to catch things before they're there. See your dietitian as well. We can help you prevent. We could see your A1C is creeping up. If you see us every time, you don't have diabetes in your family, perhaps, but something's going on and your A1C is creeping up, we can show you that. Your diet doctor can definitely show you that, but we can speak to your doctor and say, hey, this patient has some symptoms of resistance and I would like to speak with you about. Let's figure out some labs, right? Because you explain these things. We see constant hunger and thirst, and maybe the person has related to their doctor, but they're related to the dietitian. They're like, I just keep eating. I don't know what's going on. I'm just not, that is a symptom of diabetes,
Mm.
Um, so it's really important that you don't be afraid to seek out a dietitian and places that you can find a dietitian. Cultured health apps like Help Fund, it connects dietitians to clients based on culture. iamculturedhealth.com. If you are looking for other places, you can find dietitians on Google and health props. And of course, you can find a dietitian at eatright.org with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. There's a lot of places where you can find a dietitian of color. Now, that's another story, as I mentioned, but our Culture to Health app will find a dietitian for you based on your cultural background if that's something you're looking for. But I would say make sure that if you have insurance, you could call your insurance on the back of the card to see what um, benefits that you have in terms of seeing a dietitian. And if you're unsure, dietitians usually do it for a person who's inquiring. Like I would do it for a person who's inquiring about my services. I would help them. And they have an assistant or administrative assistant, or the dietitian does it themselves. They are trying to figure out how they could see the patient to help them along that way.
Thank you. That's really good information. And to my providers out there, because I do have a subset of listeners that are healthcare providers, like you should be talking to your patients about using their dietary services and referring people to a registered dietitian, at least with their annual physical. Like when you're setting up
Mhm.
mammograms, PEPs, and all of this, you should also be said, hey, have you seen your dietitian this year too?
Yeah.
So making sure we let the providers know that it's your responsibility to also put this information to your patients and not them just asking you or whatever.
Yeah, we would love that. I really appreciate that. A lot of the um, referrals that are needed from physicians, sometimes we don't get that because other providers or physicians, because they are maybe not thinking of that as a preventive service or as a follow-up service that's needed. So that would be
Right.
greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Sue-Ellen, for joining me today. I'm super excited about this conversation and really just getting people to understand that a plant-based diet is great, but if you don't want to do plant-based, you just need to increase your nutritious value of the foods that you are eating.
Yeah.
Now let's
Products,
get
eat
into some rapid fire questions. So first thing kind of comes to mind, what's one food people unfairly villainize?
that one food is carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, which are carbs, right? So people think that carbs make you fat or make you gain weight.
Okay.
And no matter if I'm giving a workshop or if I am providing a one-on-one session with a client, the fear is that carbs are bad for you, right? So they're bad for your blood sugar. It's going to make it spike or raise quickly. It's going to make you gain a lot of weight and you don't really need it. Or you need much, much less. But what I want people to realize is that carbohydrates, they're the major fuel for your brain and your red blood cells. So you need them, right? And they are called macronutrients. And macro means large, it's macronutrients for a reason. You need a lot of it. Again, it's individualized. Each person's amount is a little different, from a toddler to an elderly person, you're not going to give the same amount of carbohydrates. It's all individualized. But what I want people to understand is that fiber is a type of carbohydrate and fiber is found only in plants. So it may be very likely that if you are not eating enough carbs, you're not meeting your fiber recommendation. And fiber recommendations typically are varies by age, but typically around 21 to 38 grams, or most recommendations also say 14 grams for every 1,000 calories. So a dietitian can break that down for you in your calorie need. But you think about a slice of whole grain bread, that's about 3 grams of fiber. A half a cup of fruit to a cup, depending on what the fruit is, could be 3 grams to 6 grams or 7 grams of fiber. Half cup of beans could be about 7 grams of fiber and also has protein as well, right? So you think about the ways that you are limiting yourself when you're not eating carbs, because carbs are fruits, they're potatoes, right? Sweet potatoes, yams, they're rice, pasta. They're found in yogurt as well and milk products or plant-based milk like soy milk, but also regular milk. They're found in many different foods. So we need carbohydrates. So I really want people to stop giving carbs a very bad name. It's
'Cause we need them. We need everything. You just need it in moderation.
right.
What's a nutrition trend you wish would disappear forever?
So the trend that's been going on for some time now that's kind of still happening is the protein maxing trend. There's a fiber maximum. The protein trend is still pretty much a thing. Large amounts of protein.
Yeah.
So, too much protein displaces other important nutrients in the body, like vegetables, like fruits, like whole grains, healthy fats, and also plant protein, right? So, protein is a macronutrient. But when you think about the amount, carbs are typically distributed a little bit more. But again, it does depend on a person's life cycle stage. When we think about, girls and a woman, for example, you may need a little more protein through your puberty stage, right? Or older women stage. As you get to perimenopause and menopause, you're, losing muscle mass more. So
Yeah.
you need a little more, right? When you're thinking about someone who's pregnant, you're going to need more protein, right? Postpartum, when you have to deliver, you need protein to heal, right? And someone that had surgery in general needs protein to heal. Someone that is bodybuilding needs additional protein. But again, in the general population, most of us are eating the protein that we need. So the trend on protein maxing really kind of gets under my skin because you have to be careful of displacing other important nutrients. And again, if you think about the research, we're not eating enough fiber. About
Yeah.
10% or less of the population are meeting their dietary fiber intake. Again, fiber is a type of carbohydrate. So we are doing the opposite, right? We're eating less fiber and eating more protein when most of us already eating enough. If you're concerned about how much protein you should eat, you should definitely speak with a registered dietitian because not only can we calculate what you need and provide it in practical terms, what it looks like on your plate, we can look at other health history, your history, other data or anthropometric data that we need to figure out what is going on because you may need more protein for other issues, for other metabolic issues that are going on in the body, or you may not. You may need less. Kidney disease, someone in chronic kidney disease, depending on the stage of kidney disease, may need less protein. So you you can't just subscribe everyone or prescribe, I would say, everyone on social media, eat 100 grams of protein a day. That's not going to work for many people. So
Right.
generic information, and that quite actually is a lot of protein. And I've had someone ask me in a class, how do I get 100 grams? Because it's so hard. And I'm like, wow, the people are really paying attention to the media and they really are listening to people that are especially not credentialed to
Mhm.
meet their
Mhm.
intake. You have to be careful. Go to credentialed individuals, see your doctor, see your NPPA, and then make sure if they're referring a dietitian, you go to a dietitian. Hopefully they are. And then you could also seek out a dietitian to create a plan and a method that works for you.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. Social media experts are giving all of this advice and people thinking it's a one size fits
Yes.
all and it's not. All
Yes.
right, what's a nutrition habit you wish everyone heard at least once?
Okay. I've said this before on many other talks, but I'll continue to say this until people wake up. We need to eat more plants. And so plants could be beans, it could be legumes, which are beans, lentils, and peas. They could be eaten more. It could be, for example, eating more vegetables, more fruits, eating more whole grain, bulgur, buckwheat, quinoa, brown rice. Because why? Because research shows that it reduces risk of cancer, specifically, colon cancer, right? Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and other inflammatory conditions. Is what's helpful is when you're eating more plants, which in essence, you're providing yourself with the fiber that feeds the good bacteria in your gut, reducing inflammation and improving overall health. So, one habit, eat more plants.
That's a good habit. And one more question. What's one thing women should eat more of?
Soy, especially organic soy. Unless you're allergic to it, but you should definitely be eating soy in your early life, like as a teen, a young girl, teen, all the way through menopause. And what research is showing is that soy helps to reduce risk of many types of conditions that women go through. One of them, breast cancer. So there used to be an old thought or old research study of in mice or using ice soy from supplements, powders have to look back, but they indicated that excessive intake of the soy causes breast cancer, but that is not the case with soy. Whole soy too are receptor sites or estrogen receptor sites. Soy has an isoflavonoid or phytochemical called phytoestrogen, which is plant estrogen. It's not a human estrogen. And so that binds to our estrogen receptor sites. When it binds, it protects our receptor sites from xenoestrogens. And xenoestrogens are these highly, heavily toxic estrogens that enter through the environment through the water system, like endocrine disruptors that mimic the estrogen. It could enter through hazardous products that we're rubbing on our skin. It could be through, particularly, some studies show that pesticides or herbicides sprayed on foods, those particularly toxic products are called xenoestrogens. So they mimic estrogen, but to a capacity is very strong and very harmful. So when you eat foods that have phytoestrogens, which are found in soy, by the way, they're also found in legumes, beans, lentils, and peas, but soy has a very good amount of phytoestrogen. They protect your estrogen receptor site. So these xenoestrogens don't mind. They do other things too. When your body needs estrogen type of, when your body needs to balance its estrogen levels in the body, such as in perimenopause or menopause, eating foods with phytoestrogens like soy can provide the estrogen your body needs. So that's another way that eating soy can be helpful. But once again, there are studies that show that eating soy can benefit breast health from young children all the way down to older age, perimenopause and menopause. So the sooner you start doing it, the better. So I always recommend my patients to eat soy that is organic or non-GMO. That means you're not sprayed by pesticides, herbicides. So that is usually what I would recommend for women. And that's one thing that I would want women to eat more of. And because there's so much misinformation about soy, people are afraid of it.
Yeah.
90% of the women I see in my practice, they grow out of that and they see how it helps. They really do grow out of it with the education and with the meal planning and the other types of program information that we provide that endocrine disruptors can do to the body, and how proper hormone healthy diet can counteract some of those reactions. They really do get it and they understand. And not only do they get it, they feel it in their bodies. They're a different person after the program. So I know because research says it and because I see it in my practice.
Not soy sauce now, soy. So tell us about soy. Yeah, you're saying soy, right?
Yes, soy, SOY, which is, you can find soy in terms of edamame, tofu, tempeh. Yeah, this is the soy that I'm talking about.
Okay. Not soy sauce.
No, so yeah, soy sauce. Now the soy in the soy sauce, if you're using soy sauce, you got to make sure that it's, again, non-GMO
No salt.
organic soy, right? Because soy can be in other products that you may not think that they may be in, like nutrition bars, cereals, sauces. They can have soy product because some people do have allergies or intolerance to it. So on the label, especially in supplements and vitamins, it can say, for example, soy free, dairy free. Some people have allergies or intolerances to these things. So there should be listed on the label if it has it or if it does not have it, either way. But label reading is very important. But yes, I'm talking about soy, the
Yeah.
soybean that can be made and manufactured into many different things. And another fun fact is that soy is one of the crops in the United States that are heavily sprayed. So
Of course. Yeah. Well, thank you. That's really helpful and insightful for us. And I'm going to pick up some fiber, some soy, and a lot of plants.
none of that.
And one more question. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Sue-Ellen, for joining me today. I'm super excited about this conversation and really just getting people to understand that a plant-based diet is great, but if you don't want to do plant-based, you just need to increase your nutritious value of the foods that you are eating.
Yeah.
And before we close out, what's one small nutrition change someone could make this week that would support their long-term health?
I would say add half a cup to a cup of beans. That one small change. Some more research is coming out that beans, because of the fiber and the protein will help prolong your life in many ways, decrease risks of colon cancer, other types of cancer, reduce insulin resistance, improve heart health. So that one change, if you are not already adding beans, bump up beans to your daily routine, half a cup to a cup a day. So,
Wow.
or beans, lentils, or peas, I would say, right? So maybe chickpeas, maybe green peas, maybe lentils. Try that and see how you feel.
That's I will definitely try that because I do think that's a small change that you
Yeah,
can make, and I like beans.
yeah.
Um, like any type of bean, or are those the top 3?
Yeah, so I would say I definitely love lentils. They're pretty high in iron. Black beans are a go-to. They're dark because they have the anthocyanin, which is really great for blood flow. So I would say those are my pick. And
Okay.
chickpeas because I love the flavor, but any type of beans that you could get your hands on, dried, boxed, or canned. Of course, the dried beans are going to last longer. You do have to cook them, but experiment with some beans. Have them every day if you can. You could put it in salad. You could put in chilies, stews, pastas.
Mhm.
On the side of your meal and seasoned. You could experiment with so many different ways. You can make them into patties if you don't want to like eat it. A bean patty is also something that I teach my clients how to make, and you can season it very well, and it tastes pretty good. So any beans, yeah,
No, that's super helpful. Thank you. I hadn't thought about beans. I know beans for fiber, but I hadn't thought about the other nutritional support
and
that they
protein.
give. So
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm super excited about adding that this week. And so
Yeah,
if you out there and you add in beans this week, hit us in the comments and let us know what changes you noticed. And we'll also have Sue Ellen's contact information. So if you're in her area or you want to reach out, you'll be able to have her contact to be able to do so.
thank you for having me, Dr. Reagan.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Now, everyone, this has been your health check in with Crown Talks. If you loved it, follow us on all social media, share with somebody else that you think needs to hear this, and subscribe to Crown Talks wherever you get your podcast medicine. Consider yourselves Black, healthy, and crowned. Bye bye.
Yeah.